Tonight's NFBC Best Ball Cutline Championship draft presented by FTNFantasy.com. This one starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, as you can see right there. It consists of 10 teams, 42 rounds, best ball scoring, so it's optimal scoring, $75,000 grand prize. We play the top two in each league, $350 for first place, $150 for second place. There are only 2 free agent pickups during the entire season. So the draft is very, very important in this format. So this should be a lot of fun for sure. You're not going to just be stuck with me all night. I've got some friends joining me on the show tonight. Let's bring one of them in right here. Look at that. It's a Swiss Army knife himself, Darik Buchar. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to this one. Let me say it with caveat. When I used to actually be able to play back in the NFBC before I was actually part of the team, I didn't play a lot of cut line. You know, I think I had maybe did it 1 or 2 years. Was not really a favorite of mine. Now, if I was able to play, I would be loading up on these. Just the way the best ball format works and the way this works. These are great leagues. These are really, really fun. So I would be all over these if it was the case.
Especially early in the year. It's fun to draft. Yeah. It's 10 teams. It's 42 rounds. There's not much movement. All right, so this one is a Beat Matthew Davis league, and it filled up immediately because everybody wanted to take on Matty Wood. That's for sure. So let's bring him on right now. Look at there he is right there. Matty, are you ready for tonight?
Absolutely. I noticed Aaron Jones jumped in the cut line, unfortunately.
I think he was in last week too against Flats. So be ready, man. Be ready.
Absolutely, yeah.
He hasn't had much to do the last couple of weeks since he lost to the 49ers. So,
I pulled up some recent history, and he finished 11th in 2019, and I finished 13th. And it's fun competing against Aaron. So it's good to see him in there.
All right. Well, we enjoy working with FTN Fantasy for sure. This is a great partnership. You guys are presenting this Cutline Championship. What do you like about the Cutline? Darik was just talking about it as well. But best ball scoring, 10 teams, 42 rounds.
Well, to be quite honest with you, back in 2017 was my first year playing the NFC Cutline for football. And I really didn't actually have 100% grasp on all of the rules and how to manage my 2 fab periods, etc. And so I was still pretty new to it. And it ended on Christmas night, and it'll forever be memorable. Ended up finishing 3rd overall. Went from 1st to 3rd on the last kickoff of the season. So it went from 60,000 to 15,000. But the prize pool has gone up since then. Now it's up to 75,000, which is fun. But it got me, obviously winning like that's really exciting. And ever since then, I've gotten more and more into the cut lines, doing more teams, trying different strategies. But I'm really excited this year to try this new system that's been created. It started off with my projections, and then Vlad and I sort of worked together on it, and then handed it off to one of our IT guys, Russ Prentice, and one of the other teammates over there, FTN Fantasy. And now we have a cut line projection system that has all of the projected points. It spits out projected points with a formula basically from my projection, and all of the FTN subscribers are going to be able to get that, and it's going to be available tomorrow. So I'm basically test running it tonight. So I'm really excited, and it definitely does differentiate quite a bit from ADP, especially the pitcher. So I'm really excited to follow this and see if it works.
Awesome. Yeah. So check that out at FTN Fantasy, a guide, a tool, if you will, with cutline scoring. That's perfect. That's exactly what's needed right now. The scoring is very different. We'll talk about it. We're going to kick off this draft in the first round. Matty, you want to say what pick you have tonight?
Yeah, so I'm picking 5th, which I really like. So I'll be picking in the middle of the draft each round. I don't have to worry about runs or anything like that because there's no categories that you need to worry about. This isn't a rotisserie style scoring or anything like that. But I'm just excited to hopefully some people are trying to do things differently than me, and I'm able to gobble up the players that I see are the best available for me.
All right, sounds good. So here we go. We're going to get started here. And it is a different first round, Darik, right? I mean, Shohei Ohtani right now is the one guy who qualifies at utility and pitcher. The computer will give you the best score for his week at either position. You don't have to make any lineup decisions or anything. So he goes a little higher in cut lines, right?
He does. His ADP in our regular roto drafts is somewhere around 7 or 8. He goes 1 or 2 here. I think he's a slam dunk number 1 in the Cutline format, to be honest with you. Especially we don't know what the Angels pitching staff is. Is it going to be a 6-man rotation? Is it going to be 5? We don't know. I just think that the way I would build my Cutline team is I would have enough corners, enough middle infielders, enough outfielders. Where some weeks Ohtani's just going to get bumped. He's not going to have as good a hitting week as some guys, and if it's a week where he has a great start or God forbid 2 starts, he's to me easy. I can make the case for Trey Turner based on batting average, and you don't even need to worry about the Turner steals as much in this format. Obviously they help, but Trey Turner hitting 330 is a big deal. If he's able to do that this year, he'll be a monster. But for me, this is an easy slam dunk Ohtani at number 1.
Yeah, I think so too. Ohtani, just that flexibility and the computer being able to put him where he best is fantastic. Wish he had like an outfield designation in this game. That would really help out, but doesn't play the field.
I think I think people overlook that too much because yes, you have to, if he's a hitter, you have to use him in your util spot. But again, if you have 42-man rosters here, so it's not. It's a bigger deal in roto where you have to choose to use him at util versus where he actually ends up what he does in a certain week. So I think it gets overlooked.
All right, so we started out with Fernando Tatis Jr., Trey Turner. There goes Shohei Ohtani. Again, he does go top 2, top 3 most times. We've seen him go number 1 as well. So those are not unexpected starts right there, that's for sure. Matty's got the 5th pick, so he gets to wait 1 time. And we're not going to make Matty be on the clock or on the camera with us the whole time. Vlad tried that last week. He said 10 team, I can talk and I can strategize. 3rd round, he was like, I should have planned for this. I'm talking too much. So we're going to let Matty concentrate. So Matty, you walk us through this when you're ready. All right.
Yeah. So it would be right now looking at the projected fantasy points after spitting out all of the projections and data. It's either going to be between Vladimir Guerrero and Jose Ramirez. But assuming what I think I know, I'm going to go with the 3rd baseman here and go with Jose Ramirez and hope that something else comes to me in the 2nd. So,
all right, sounds
go
good.
with Jose Ramirez.
I saw Online Championship the other day. He went 2nd overall. He's been going higher, right, Darik? You've been watching more drafts certainly than I have, but thoughts on Jose Ramirez?
Yeah, he's creeping. That's good pick, Matty. That would have easily been my pick there as well. I probably would take him number 3 in this format, just based on 3rd base and how you can build your team. So, yep, he's the guy that's been. He started off, I think, early DCs around 5 and 6, and now we are seeing him creep to 2 or 3 in our other draft. So that's a beautiful pick there, Matt.
So you're talking about the corner infields and wanting to get some guys there, Darik. Is 1st base, 3rd base too shallow this year? What are your thoughts on the corner infield?
Again, in best ball, I don't think it's as shallow as it is having to choose guys. Again, if you have enough, I think the 1st base value this year is down. Rhys Hoskins, Joey Votto area rounds 12 and 13 of our, probably rounds 10, 11, and 15 team draft, rounds 12 and 13 and the 12s that I've been seeing a lot. There's nothing wrong with taking Freddie Freeman's and Pete Alonso's and the Goldschmidts of the world, but I think the value right now is down for 1st base. And then 3rd base, again, you got Ramirez and then there's kind of, Ramirez and Devers, and then it's kind of a cliff. Till you get to your next group of guys. Some guys like the middle tier. I'm not especially fond of it this year, but in a best ball format, I'm just going to have enough guys that that it's going to get the job done. I'm not going to leave this cut line draft where you have 42-man rosters without 5 or 6 guys that cover each position. Especially with all the multi-eligibility position guys, which are invaluable in this format. I know we'll get to that as we move along, but I think you got to get enough of everything: middle infielders, corner infielders, outfielders, and then again, like I said, if you have Ohtani, he can go either way, and I think that just builds a huge foundation while you're playing this format.
All right. Did we get a surprise here in round 1 already with Javi Baez? What's the talk there?
Yeah, that was that's got to be a new min. I was trying to scatter to see what the min was before that, and it was 49. So, that was interesting.
Wow, right. That's this is a format where Javi Baez moves way up. He would not make many of my roto teams, hasn't in the last 3-4 years, but this is a format where he does have 2nd base and shortstop eligibility, but. 6th overall, that's a little too rich for my blood. I would have looked from around middle of round 6, middle of round 7. So he just got pushed 5 or 6 rounds, in my opinion. But we'll see.
When you're on TV, you got to make a splash, right? So
I guess so.
Making that splash. So I'm loving it. So Honestly, this is a math game, isn't it, Darik? I mean, this is point scoring. This is not Roto 10 categories where you got to get saves, you got to get stolen bases. This is whoever scores the most points wins, right? This is math. You're trying to get as many points as possible, which is why we're not going to see a lot of pitchers right away like we would in a Roto draft, because people are trying to get the power hitters and trying to score as many offensive points as possible. A different game, right?
Well, it's definitely math, but to me, it's just about assembling as much talent as you can, especially on the hitting side. When, again, like I said, guys with multiple position eligibility are just gold here, because you can work in, guys with first, second, third base, like a Muncy or something. I know he's not, we don't know how healthy Max Muncy's actually, but guys that have the position eligibility like that, they can be invaluable. They can fill in at so many different spots and so many different things. It's again, it's just about acquiring as much talent as you can, because here's the thing about the cut line. We all know hitters go on streaks, right? So like Javier Baez, perfect example, a guy why I love him in this format is that guy steals bases and hits homers in bunches. So when he's doing that, you're getting those spike weeks, right? And the weeks he's not doing it, he's replaced by somebody, doing better. So again, this is about assembling as much talent you can, guys that can hit home runs, steal bases, in this format. That's really what I think it comes down to.
Yeah, and the multi-position players do get helped because they can move to wherever they score the most points for you. All right, our first starting pitcher was Garrett Cole at number 15. Team 5, Matty, talk about your pick right there.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman. I don't want to give up too much with what we have at FT and Fantasy coming out tomorrow with the cut line projections, but I will say one thing. The thing that stood out to me the most out of the top 10 was Freddie Freeman, and I was hoping that he was going to go there in the second round to me, which made the Jose Ramirez over Vladimir Guerrero Jr. pick in the first round pretty easy, because I wanted to start off with J-Ram and Freddie Freeman and get both of my corner infield spots out of the way, or first and third, I should say. And then now I'm going to be able to eat up the middle. So gobbling up all those highly talented guys at shortstop and outfield is where I'm going to look next.
Hey, Matty, does your I know you have the stuff there at FT. Does it matter to you where Freddie Freeman ends up, or is it he's just such a good hitter that it's not going to matter?
I truly believe it's going to be two spots. It's either Atlanta, and then the dark horse there would be Los Angeles. If he stays in Atlanta, I'm simply fine with that. And if he goes to LA, then let's party on. So I think I'll be okay with wherever Freddie goes.
What, you guys don't have enough talent there with the Dodgers, or what? Huh?
Hey, we're feeling a little light at the moment, actually. You know what's going to be crazy is there's going to be some crazy, not necessarily in the cut line, but in the DCs, when you see somebody like a Yusei Kikuchi sign with the Dodgers, those guys are going to rise heavily. Yeah. So I'm excited to see the market move once it gets going again.
Yeah, we're all interested in seeing where the market's going to go once it gets going again. Let's hope it gets going again soon here. So, all right, we got through the second round here. Trout went at 13. Mookie Betts went at 19. Alvarez with the power goes at 18. That's real interesting as well. Again, one of the things I want to look at when we're doing this is the team builds. Everybody's got a different strategy. Last week, Team 6 went 14 picks of all hitters. Didn't take a pitcher until round 15. We want to watch some of that stuff. Look at Team 1 right there. Feels very good getting Fernando Tatis Jr. Goes with Scherzer and DeGrom. If both of those guys can stay healthy, that's a lot of pitching points, a lot of points every week as they get strikeouts and some wins. So other people, again, will lay off of starting pitchers. So, Darik, do you like how Team 1 is doing that when he goes back-to-back with pitchers?
It's fine. Like you said, it can work. I probably wouldn't do it. I would have grabbed Scherzer just based on the health of there, and I would have grabbed another bat. But it can certainly work out. I mean, again, now he's able to shy away from pitchers probably for a while, I would think, and then really load up on the bat. So again, you're right. It's about team building. It's what you feel, and you got to get everything. So you got to get it at some point. So if you're comfortable with Scherzer and DeGrom there, not a problem. Neither one was coming back to him for sure. So if he wanted those guys, you got to pull the trigger there.
Yeah, definitely. Again, we're not seeing a whole lot of starting pitchers, so we've got 3 starting pitchers in the first 25. Matty goes with Aaron Judge. There's a power hitter that's good in this format as well, right, Matt?
Yeah, I like guys that are going to be hitting in the heart of their lineups, teams that are going to be rolling over the lineup, so producing more opportunities at the plate, and then just gobbling up all those counting stats with massive upside in home runs. And the home runs are really the Yahtzee. Yeah,
definitely. Darik, talk about the starting or the catchers. I mean, Perez's ADP's been, end of the second round, 20 at some point. Here he is right here at 23, Real Muto at 26, Will Smith at 28. I mean, that's pretty high for catchers. We're talking about counting stats, and yes, they're the best of the catchers, but they don't get as many at-bats. We probably will see the DH in the NL, though, so it could help maybe Real Muto a little bit there. Talk about your thoughts on catchers this year and where they're going.
So I love catchers, and in this format, I think you need 4 good ones. You really do. Now, I don't know that I would spend a 3rd-round pick on Perez. I feel like you're paying last year. I would not spend a 3rd-round pick on Real Muto. And Will Smith, I do think he is probably a top 1 or 2 catcher this year. It just 3rd round feels early. Again, you have to start 2 catchers every week in this format, so I'm going to go out of my way to make sure I have 4 solid ones. I just don't know that 3rd round, even with the likely fact that the NL catchers are gonna be DHs like Sal Perez gets to do when he's actually not catching. It's early. There's so many monster bats still, and I know these guys are good hitting catchers, but I don't know. I mean, you just look. I mean, Teoscar Hernandez, Matt Olson. I mean, you're gonna see another round of guys that I would take coming up here before I would grab a catcher. So to each their own.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I will give you a little history about catchers and our draft champions. So the very first year that we did that format of the draft champions, we had 45 rounds. And I remember at the end of the year, and everybody, I thought that was so long, 15 teams, 45 rounds, but those guys kept getting in there. I thought, wow, the first year, what a great success. Get down at the first year, and Sean Childs calls me up and he says, you got to go to 50 rounds. I mean, everyone drafted 4 catchers, and that didn't get us through the whole year. And I was like, 50 rounds? I mean, holy cow, you people really going to sit and draft 50 rounds? Of course, we only had 8-hour drafts at that time, so that did take a long time. But he was right, because people did run out of catchers in the draft champions format, and that way you had to get at least 5 catchers to get through the year. So catchers are the reason that we have 50 rounds in our draft champions.
Well, blame it on the catchers. There you go.
I was blaming it on Sean. What are you blaming on catchers?
You can blame it on Sean, too. That's just fine.
Yeah, he's always a good one to blame on.
What's great is the fact that the 8-hour clocks are gone. Those were murder. So, I mean, even now I look at the 4-hour drafts. I'm like, man, I can't believe people have the patience to do 4-hour drafts. I wouldn't do anything less than a 2 myself. So,
and we keep track of that. And right now the 2s are at the same number as the 4s, and the 400s are all 2s. Everyone's jumping into 2s. So it's great to see the movement. I mean, Darik, when we did best ball 10s, we took it over. Our CFO said we must keep 8 hours. People want the 8 hours. They're like, oh, really? Well, we keep it for best ball 10s, but it's ridiculous.
For BB10s, it's a different drafting universe for sure. They like them. It's the most popular format still. I don't know how and I don't know why, but bless them.
8 hours. You just can't do it, man. But no, we love it. And I will say MTM will always say, I told you had to go to 4 hours and 2 hours. Trust me, I would have gone to 4 hours and 2 hours earlier. But Stats wasn't willing to make those changes. Once we got over to Sports Hub, we told the IT, they told, yes, we can do it. And they came up with that, the multi-round cues and all that kind of stuff. So we didn't like the 8 hours either. We just didn't have a tech team that was willing to make the moves. All right, let's talk a little bit right here now. So again, we only had 3 starting pitchers through 32. Corbin Burns, who goes in the first round of our roto drafts, usually goes 11 or 12, sometimes higher than that, goes 33. Then Walker Buehler, 34. Bieber goes 35. And then, Matty, you took Lindor at pick 36. Thoughts on Lindor this year coming back?
Yeah, I like the bounce back. I always like these big, high, caliber players that come off these big contracts in new cities. Second season, more familiarity with the clubhouse, the dugout, team chemistry, seeing the opposition in the division. So seeing the pitchers in the East and the NL more, I think all that's going to bode well. Less pressure this year as well. I was in a bit of a conundrum there though, because I actually Pete Alonso, who just went off the board at pick 39. He's popping with higher projected points, and obviously at some point you got to build your team in roster construction, even if it isn't for categories. And I already have a first baseman, and I wasn't necessarily sure I wanted to squeeze in my corner infield right now. And then looking at the available shortstops that were there, we had Francisco Lindor, Xander Bogaerts, and Trevor Story, who were in that top tier right there. But I feel the best about Francisco Lindor right now, so I went with him.
If Walker Buehler had come to you, would you have gone with pitching, or what's your feeling on pitching when you construct your rosters here?
I would not go into pitching yet. Stay tuned. It's gonna take a little bit, but I'm pretty excited to see how I put it together, and I think you guys will be too.
All right,
I think you like what I do.
So he's saying he's going 14 straight picks without any pitchers. We are looking forward to this. We definitely are, as you explain that strategy. So that'll be great. No, good stuff. So one of the things we want to point out as well is these babies cruise. I mean, look at what are we? A couple less than 15 minutes in. We're in the 5th round already. Yes, it's 42 rounds, but this will get done in 2.5, 2.25. And again, you're learning the player pool. It's a $175 entry fee. You got a chance for a $75,000 grand prize. It's a fun format. This thing has really evolved, and our NFFC Cutline for football has really evolved and become a really, really fun game. That's for sure. So, all right, Tyler O'Neill, little stolen base, power lifter.
Season, baby.
His dad was a power lifter. What do you think?
We're believers. Vlad and I have been on the ton train for a while, and it finally came to fruition last year. I would have been really, really sad if I didn't have any leagues that I had won with Tyler O'Neill last year. I would have felt like I was left in the dust after being, one of those truthers, so to speak. And I ended up winning a DC last year. I think it was an MTM DC actually, and it finished around the top 50 overall. And Tyler O'Neill was a huge contributor to that because he was being drafted way late in these DCs last year.
For sure. I remember the Arizona Fall League. My brother Mike was there. It was the same year that Bellinger and O'Neill were there. And Bellinger, the first time seeing that swing was like, no way, man. Every swing is from the heels. That guy will never make it in the majors. And O'Neill was another one. I'd say my brother's always a pessimist, but he was like, no way. I mean, he was just so built up, It was like, can that guy... He looks great in a uniform, but can he really run and hit for power? And it took him a little longer, obviously, than Bellinger. For Bellinger to be Rookie of the Year next year just blew us both away because I thought that would be a hole in his swing, but he sure covered the whole plate there. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about the closers, Darik. There's Liam Hendricks is the first one to go at 48. We know in our Roto, they're going at 28, 29, 30. In fact, in our 15-team DCs, I'm seeing a guy take the first pick, maybe Tatis, maybe Trey Turner, and going Hendricks and Hader a lot. I've been seeing that. What do you think?
So the cut line, I think I draw a line for, and I think I said this on the Rasball podcast when we were talking about the Raslam that'll start on our site in a couple weeks here. Same format as this, just 12 teams instead of 10. I draw the line at about the top 10 or 12 closers, and then I have no problem grabbing those guys. Guys like obviously Hader, Hendricks, Chapman's, the guys that not only get saves, but can pile up some strikeouts on top of that. After that, you can use guys like that. To me, I'd much rather have a middling MLB rotation starting pitcher 3 or 4 or 5, sometimes depending in this format, just because again, you can get those 2 start weeks. The saves are valuable. Again, you're never having to choose when to use these guys, so it makes it a little easier. But to me, I would rather have starting pitchers than most closers in this format. So to me, I draw the line at my top 10 or 12 guys that can strike guys out, and I don't even worry about the rest. And I know a lot of guys do it completely opposite. There's guys that'll grab 8, 9, 10 closers because, again, you never have to pick and choose when you use them. If they have that 3-save week, they're definitely going to be valuable. Even 2-save weeks, they're going to be valuable. It's just I hate closers that aren't elite because they get beat up a lot too, and I just think it's more valuable to have those starting pitchers that can win games and actually have 2 starts.
Yeah, that's why I say the roster construction is a lot of fun because some people will avoid closers altogether. They'd rather have the starters get the strikeouts, the win possibility, the innings pitched. But closers get 8 points, I think it is, for a save. I'll call us up again. 6 points for a win. So a closer with 2 or 3 saves during a week can get you 26 points pretty easily. A guy
hugely
like
valuable.
Hader, yeah, they can be very, very valuable, but you don't have to have them. So some people will not take any closers. Some will take multiple closers because they can add up the points. So interesting. To me, Hader, 120 strikeouts and 40 possible saves seems like a guy that would go higher. He hasn't even gone yet, I don't believe, has he? No. Hendricks is the only one that has gone right now. All right, JD Martinez, as you are loading up that 6 in a row, forget about pitchers. Who needs pitchers to win in this format? Matty, what do you think about JD? Underrated, isn't he?
It's kind of gross, to be honest with you, especially the lineup that he's in. All of the OBP monsters ahead of him, Bogarts, Devers, Verdugo. He's a true bopper, and he's consistently one of those volume monsters again, and that correlates with the counting stats, team context, and where he's at in the lineup. And yet again, Yahtzee with the home runs, he's got a lot of it, and I'm happy with this pick.
All right, so you got 3 outfielders already. You're not worried about overloading on any position. Obviously, you get 5, 6 of them with the utility, so no worries with that, right?
No, I'm feeling okay with that. I'm probably going to start shying away from outfield for a little bit there soon at least. If I might take another one here actually coming up, but if I do not, I will likely be shifting gears here and looking elsewhere.
All right, so the Team 6 is an interesting build, as Matty Anderson said there. Javier Baez, Garrett Cole, JT Realmuto, Bieber, Woodruff, Nola. He's going for the pitching points. He's the opposite
and
of
the catcher in the third. And the catcher in the third.
In the third.
We still have 5 teams without a pitcher through 6 rounds, which is pretty amazing, even for the cut line. So, 4 teams following Matty right now. So we'll see how it works out.
I got to tell you, I am shocked that Hader hasn't gone at this point. A guy who can strike out 120 and certainly should be in line for saves. I think he'll stay with Milwaukee all year. I don't think they will trade him. So interesting there. So, all right. Where did I see Buxton go? I got to get your thoughts, Darik, your thoughts on Buxton. There he is in round 6. So 53 he went. This is the year, right? Chris Liss is telling us this is the year. Come on, you're in Minnesota. Right?
You know what? Hopefully one of these years it is the year. But in the cut line format, perfect. I mean, if he's injured and it's one of those 2-week, 3-week, month-long things, you can hold him. You have enough spots where when he's in there, he's fantastic. Right, home runs, stolen bases, with the batting average now up around 275 where it's been. He's a fantastic player for this format, so I have no trouble grabbing him where he was. In fact, I'd probably even push him up around in this format. Again, when he's healthy, he's fantastic.
He was fantastic when he was healthy last year. That April, he looked like that's it. That is exactly what we needed. Then he gets hurt, misses a stretch, comes back a little bit. I mean, he doesn't miss the 1 or 2 weeks. He's on the DL or the IL or whatever the hell we call it these days, right? I mean, he just doesn't miss a couple games. It seems like he does. Then he lands on the IL.
Yeah, I think last year he was a 3-week stint and then a 4-week stint. So yeah, he missed about 7 weeks, I think, total. He missed about 50 games.
That guy could stay healthy. We'd love to see it. So, all right.
Trust me, we certainly would.
I know you would. All right. How about Carlos Correa? We don't know where he's going. He goes 58 in this one. He's another one we've waited a long time for. Really hasn't gone. When I'm with Sean in NL Labor, it's Correa every year. I mean, we must have had him for 5-6 years in a row now. So any love for Carlos Correa, even though we don't know where he's going to be?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy, again, one of those guys you just don't know. Again, a guy I would push up in this format more than a roto draft, just because, again, you don't have to pick and choose when he's going to get hot. The talent is there. I mean, we saw his rookie year in the year after. The talent is all world. Just needs to put it all together. Another guy that hasn't necessarily stayed healthy all the time. So, again, perfect format for guys like him, Baez, where you don't have to pick and choose. But when they get hot, boy, they can carry you for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I'm not in the draft room. What's going on with Team 2 here? We have a hiccup?
We got a little guy had looks like a little computer problem. They're getting it fixed. I'm watching the chat here, so it should be rolling here in a second.
Do they not know that we're live streaming here?
I guess not. I don't know.
But this is what we do.
So this is Team 2. This Team 2 right here, though, was Team 6 on the last one you did that took the 14 straight pitchers. So same guy.
Okay. Yeah. I know who it is then. But he's probably going to go 14 in a row then.
He's probably not taking a pitcher here, is my guess.
It's going to be a battle. Team 4 does not have a pitcher as well. Team 9 does not have a pitcher as well. Team 10 does not have a pitcher.
Right. Still 5 teams without one. All right. Clock's rolling again here.
All right. Sounds good. I want to ask you about Rafael Devers. He goes 11th overall. I've noticed in the last online championship, he's moved up to 11th. Last night, he went 11th as well. Is that, he's only like 25, right? I mean, the upside is still even there, even after a great year last year.
It's hard. Can you believe he's only 25?
Yeah.
He seems like he's 35. He seems like he's been around that long. He's a great player. Yeah, we don't. I think the thing there is nobody knows if we've seen his ceiling. I mean, he's had some fantastic years. What if he has one of those consolidation years where it all comes together? He could easily be a top 5 hitter, right? I mean, no question about it. If he gets he throws in 9-10 stolen bases and does the rest like he can do, and he could easily finish that high.
All right, Matty, Corey's not with the Dodgers anymore, just so you know.
Yeah, that's correct. He's heading to the ballpark he won the World Series MVP in and just absolutely obliterated the baseball in Texas. So it'll be fine. I'm really excited, actually. I like this price for him. I'm just scared the price is going to jump a little bit once Casey Chaw starts doing the 400 DCs and drafts.
So Vlad must be talking to him that he said Casey's getting ready to jump into DCs. Is that right?
Yeah, I think he might be gearing up to step his feet into the water. So
it's getting to be that time. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is.
Early February. He's
when he does jump in, he jumps all the way in. Just so you know.
That's right.
So,
here's the thing, though. He's missed about 15 or 16 of those already. We've had that many.
Yeah.
So.
Are the 400s more popular this year?
Oh my God! Yes.
To volume from last year.
Oh, yeah.
Way ahead. They're
Awesome.
over 100 more signups at this point, at least already than this time last year.
Yeah, and it's funny because once the 400s got going, and people started calling them 4 honeys, and all of a sudden they're on Twitter and come on, join me in the 4 honey, and it's just been fantastic. And it's a lot of veterans, and like I said, they're all 2 hours. I mean, I think we've got one, maybe two 4 hours.
1 4 hour, I think, so far.
4 hour, yeah. The rest of them are all at 2 hours, so it's fantastic. All right, here in round 7, we had a catcher run right before you, Matty. We had Varsho, Grandal, and Contreras. Darik, you were saying, 7 catchers you look at, that's 6 of them right there. So 3 went in the first 3 rounds, and then we went 3 in a row in the 7th round. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is probably the area I'd start taking him. I'm a big Varsho guy. Obviously, he has multiple. It's not a guy you want to use in the outfield. You want to use him at catcher, but the fact that he's probably going to be playing a lot of outfield this year helps him to get the at-bats, and especially if there's a DH. So I like Varsho is one of my top 5 catchers this year. So I like him here. I probably might wait even around, so maybe I don't end up with him in the cut line format. But this is the area you can start grabbing that first guy. And again, I just think you need to have 4 starters, in my opinion, or guys that play enough. 3. I've done 3 before in these formats, and it just does not get it done for me. It doesn't. My build it just doesn't work. So I have to have 4, and sometimes I'll even go 5 if the rest of the team allows it with multiples. With the eligibility I have in other guys. But I believe it's very hard to get out without 4. I've seen Stadmelder build with 3, but he gets 3 really early. Back in the years where he grabbed Gary Sanchez and Mauer and another guy early, and he would get through with 3. I could never build that way. So again, as you mentioned, it's just fun to watch how people build things here.
Yeah, it's totally different for sure. All right, my Josh Hader finally goes at 67. Again, in the roto, he's going 31, 32, no more than 33, that's for sure, and he goes 67 here. Total different scoring system, but I still think he's one of the dominant closers. We've only had 2 off the board so far. So, all right, Matty, I got to ask you about this one. Julio Urias, at 70 seems pretty low for this format as well, or not?
Well, it depends on this type of system or scoring that you want to project out. But ADP wise, if you're looking at it that way, sure, absolutely, it's really late for him. If you're playing in a normal 15-team DC. He's going end of the 2nd round, early 3rd round. So you're looking at a top 40 pick on average. So getting him in this range is certainly great. And I really like him. I know some people are shying away from him, but I think these people are, I think they're being lazy about their analysis, just thinking, oh, the Dodgers and Dodgeritis and look at the innings pitched and stuff like that. He's shown to be healthy, and the adjustments that he made are real. So yeah, I like Urias.
All right, we got to talk about your pick. I have a keeper league, and I did take Mondesi, and hopefully the upside's there with him. But in this format, what do you think? Can he stay healthy? And if he does stay healthy, look out, right?
Yeah, I think I just got a massive lottery ticket here. Health is the big question mark, absolutely. But when you're in a 10-team draft and you're taking a shot in the middle of the 8th round, I think it's fully acceptable to do so. And like you said, if it does all come together, and I actually like, again, the team context thing. I think this Kansas City Royals offense, they are starting to get some love noticeably, and you can see it in ADP with Whit Merrifield and Salvador Perez, Adalberto Mondesi as well. There's people on one side of the fence or the other, but I don't want to just plant my flag every year and be out on the guy where I have been in the past. So if the price is right, like Ted DiBiase says, then I'm certainly in on him because the sky is the limit.
So you feel like you've got some upside on this team already, I think, right? Seager, Mondesi, these guys are a little lower than certainly how you value them, I would think, at this point.
Yeah, I actually really like this team build, and even without any pitching whatsoever right now, but I'm going to start looking to get into there. I think I'm ready to start painting the board a little bit yellow.
Darik, what's your thoughts on Mondesi? I'm hoping for a comeback. Again, I've got him in one league that I'm in already. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, exciting player. The exact type of format where I would have him. Again, I'd take him way more in a format like this than I would where I have to choose to start him in a rotisserie league. A lot of people will shy away from speed altogether in this, and that's fine because you don't need stolen bases. But one of the best weeks I've ever seen a player put up was Billy Hamilton a few years ago. I think he stole 11 or 12 bases one week and put up a score close to 100, right? So, I mean, it was like fantastic. So these guys absolutely have value. So Mondesi, you even get the added if he's playing, he hits for some power as well. So he puts one of those weeks together. Off the charts how good he can be. So perfect format and a perfect Matty. I probably even would have thought of him where you took Seager, honestly, in this format. So I might even up them around in this one.
All right, Matty, you got a starting pitcher. You got the ace, Cy Young. What do you think, huh?
Yeah. Anybody that I can get that's going to have massive strikeout upside, we've got to go for it. I like the shift actually going from the AL East to the AL West. I think that's going to bode well for him as well. So taking your first pitcher in the 9th round with that amount of strikeout upside is okay with me.
All right, so you weren't alone here, though. Team 2 did jump in. Jose Barrios took him in round 8. Team 4 got his first one right before you, Chris Sale. Darik, you thought he was going to have the big comeback at the end of last year. He kind of did as well, but came a little back later than we had hoped in our FSGA league. But thoughts on Sale?
I'm in again. I'm going to ride the guy till I can no longer can. You know what I mean? I think the talent is there. Again, it's just a matter of how long that arm holds on it. But I'm going along for the ride because the talent is right up there with the best of them. So.
All right, sounds good. All right, we're going to stay here for probably like the first 14, 15 rounds. We just want to give everyone a taste of what this is like, the 10 teams, 42 rounds, the builds, the early builds. After you get your core guys, you're obviously going with depth. You need depth everywhere you can, whether it's pitchers, outfielders, anything. You need a lot of depth. And so, again, we want to do this really every Thursday night. Next week, I think we're going to have a online championship with Vlad is going to be on here. And it's going to be a Beat Vlad Sedler one, so we'll get that up tomorrow. But we'll live stream it as well. And we just want to get this going, so whet everybody's appetites, right, for a little drafts and seeing how this works and such like that. Again, we're almost through 9 rounds. It's been like 33 minutes so far. So, hey, there's my man Yelich. If we had Tom on right now.
Bellinger and Yelich back to back. You don't know how many times I've seen that this year in drafts. It's fascinating how they go together in every type of draft. Somebody like I finally pull the trigger on Bellinger, Yelich, and the next guy pulls the other one. It's crazy how many times they're drafted back to back.
So
they're combined now because of the MVP commercial, right? When they were doing their candidacy.
88 and 89, though. I mean, there's value there. I mean,
used to be 5 and 6. Used to be 5 and 6. Now it's 80 in the 80s. Wow.
I mean, Bellinger looked much better in the playoffs. He was healthy finally, right? And he definitely looked much better. Yelich just did not look good. In the playoffs, he was terrible. I mean, he kind of cost him against Atlanta. He just got no big hits. Came up with bases loaded in that last game. I don't know. Who do you think? Who's bouncing back out of those two? If Darik, Matty?
Wow.
I'm going to just lean with Bellinger. Younger. We saw him at least make some sort of adjustments down the stretch to try and change or correct things. And we did see that even though it was a small sample size in the postseason, but the contact rate did substantially increase. The strikeout rate did decrease. So it's a small sample size, but there were signs of him trying to do things differently. Whereas Christian Yelich, if you watched it, and of course, Greg, being a Brewers fan, he looks broken.
He did. Yep.
I'm going to agree with Matt.
Hopefully he's able to correct it.
Yeah. I agree with you too. I do.
Bellinger.
And,
anybody that's had back problems at any point in their life can sympathize with Yelich has probably gone through back. I mean, you don't have your back. You can't even get off the couch, right? So, I mean, any type of back problem that lingers is trouble.
Yeah, he swings like
look
he's
at
got
this.
back troubles. He really does.
There we go.
There you go.
The yellow stickers
I
are going
love
to start
Cease. It's your
flowing now.
nice pick. I love. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cease is
All
a
right,
How many
pick
strike
after
outs
this
do I have
format.
now? 440?
Yep.
All right, Darik,
Between
without
two
sucking
pitchers.
up, you like Matty's draft so far?
I do. I like it. Again, I probably wouldn't have taken Seager there, just but I probably would have pushed Mondesi up the spot. So I don't know who I would have had in that spot. But the rest, the rest is that's how you build a solid cut line team. No problem with that. I love Cease. I think Cease is going too low in our regular drafts as well. I'm seeing him, 7th round and 15s, 8th or 9th in the OC so far. I like to get the strikeouts are there, and if he can keep that whip under control, he's going to have a monster year.
He's going to be a 4th round pick in main events.
Yeah, very good. Yep.
Matty, if you ever see that Darik is doing outrageous stuff that I have to fire him, it's really because he wants to get fired so that he can compete again in the NFBC.
It's amazing, man.
It sounds like the fire's underneath him still.
You should see some of the stuff I try and pull, and never get in trouble. It's amazing.
Yeah. People come to the principal's office to tell on Darik, and I just say, go home, go talk to your parents about it. We're not firing him today. So the Swiss Army knife, we can't get rid of him at this point, even though I know, like right now, he's just jonesing to be in this thing right now. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what,
there's
there's nothing I love more than actually watching drafts. And I honestly, people are like, how the heck can you watch so many drafts? And honestly, until about the last week or two before we're done, I love drafts with watching draft boards. Then at the end where I'm at, number 1,000, then it gets a little repetitive. But again, even like Matty, you just said, when the main event starts, it's like reinvigorating because the ADP is gone. And now they're just brand new. It's just brand new drafting and guys getting guys. So it's fantastic right up until about a week to go. And then even I get tired, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love it. Again, yes, I miss playing against you guys and whatever, but I wouldn't trade it in for anything.
Hey, Dusty's asking you should get fired, so he's making a comment here. So, Matty, I'll give you a story here. So when we were bought in, I think, October or November of 2016. So
yep.
Then they had us come on up to meet the guys at Sports Hub in Minneapolis. So Tom and I drive up there, and it's a Monday night. We're going to meet everybody at a bar and then watch the Monday night game. And they introduce us to Darik. We didn't know that he worked for the company. And I'm like, I turned to Tom. I go, I'm pretty sure he plays with us. And I said, we can't lose him. He's got like 23 online championship teams. How are we going to replace that? So he said, yeah, I'm playing right now, but I won't be able to play next year. And I was like, oh,
yeah. And I had the number five team overall at that point. And then when you guys left the next week, I overtook first for a while. And then it just went to crap after that and won the league, but didn't even come close to finishing in the overall. So that was it.
Like 3 teams in the top 20 at that time or something. And I know you had.
I think it was 3 in the top 40. Yeah, in the top 40.
In the top 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, Franmil Reyes, talk about that, please.
Yeah. Rob Geese selected Joe Musgrove, and he separated himself from the remaining starting pitchers in the pack as of now. So the selection was actually rather easy. Franmil Reyes grades out very, very high for us at FTN Fantasy when looking at the cut line projected fantasy points. He actually comes in just outside of the top 40 at 42. So a substantial difference when looking at getting him at what pick did I get? 107, 106, something like that. Yeah. And then seeing him grade out for us at 42, I've got to be happy with it.
Matty, your thoughts on just strict utility guys in this format, the Nelson Cruzes, the races, your thoughts?
Yeah, it harnesses you a little bit, but when people start to bake it in too much, it provides a discount, and I'm willing to pounce on that. I think Franmil is an absolute monster, and I think we have yet to see his ceiling. And he's somebody, again, that's going to be playing every single day, and he's a true bopper. So I think more times than not, he's going to be the guy that's going to be optimal enough. And if I find myself with enough flexibility, I think that the team itself will be able to shuffle itself around to get the most out of the team. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Too many people shied away from Nelly Cruz for too long because they didn't want to tie up the utility spot. I don't want to tie up the utility spot. And in this format, I mean, Reyes should be one of your better hitters. I think he's probably going to start every week or most weeks in this format. I don't think you shy away from talent. You just got to keep throwing talent on there, right?
We have him projected for 612. Cutline projected points. I don't want to give too much because the subscribers are the ones that should have fun with it. But yeah, I got to give you some taste.
God, Dusty's trying to get rid of you. He really is.
Dusty, shout out to Dusty Wagner. Good stuff, Dusty. Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Well, first of all, stashing beers after a draft into a bag is definitely not fireable, especially when you're coming up to my suite with it anyway. So definitely not. Show up late to every draft. Most people are there. They don't need you for the first
they don't
draft.
need.
No, I'm not seeing anything there. So we're all right.
Keep going, Dusty. We need more ideas.
Trying. Those two definitely weren't fireable. I don't think. So. All right, let me just get us down one more time, and then we'll wrap her up here a little bit. We'll give a couple more rounds here. So there we go. See,
I'm going to grab one more pitcher with, again, that massive upside, and it will be Trevor Rogers. I think he fell just a little bit too far for my liking. He's starting to fly up, I think, in the fifth round in the 4 honeys. So
there's another guy that'll be round 4 or so main events without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. Him and Cease will be real close together. I think you might see Max Fried creep up just a little bit potentially as well. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So there is a difference in the 400 draft champions and the 150 draft champions. Why is that? Are people just, and it happens with the 1,000 DC, and obviously you get to the $2,500 DC, there people go out as well. But why is that happening in the 400 where guys are minimum picking guys?
A couple things. I think you're getting more experience for one, but you're also getting higher volume of players. So you're getting guys that are wanting to either try different builds, differentiate, hedge their players, etc. So you are going to see a lot of different builds, and just the ADP will. Next year, would it be possible almost to even have a separate tab for the 150 DCs for ADP data and then the 400s? I don't know if that's possible, obviously, but that would be that'd be interesting to have that, just to see sort of the differences in between.
Yeah, I think that's something we could
especially
add.
with the min picks.
Well, it's something I think we have even now, Darik. You could put a different number for the 400s or out of the 150s if you want.
I don't think you can separate draft champions from other draft champions at this point, but it's something we should have where we could. I think Jokum could add that pretty easily. I bet you could probably do it tomorrow, honestly. Well, I'll run it by him and see what we could do. That is interesting. You're right. Another reason I think is a lot of people use the 400s as kind of their main event prep. They do it with the 150 too. I'm not saying that they don't, but the 150s, starting in November, the 400s really just got cooking a couple weeks ago, kind of went viral. And so I think a lot of people are using that as main event prep. So that's why you'll see guys going, what we're going to see come March.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I've only done one thus far, and I'm looking to get into another one. And it was a 2-hour, and it flew by. It was so smooth. And I felt a little bit more of a buzz / like a draft rush with that one. It's just got a different feel to it. They are a lot of fun, and I can see how they're addicting. Look at Matt Modica; he's fucking every night he's posting a new tweet for people to hop into one. So
there you go. Yeah, he loves them for sure. All right, well, we're going to wrap up here pretty soon, but just want to let everyone know we are having a record year so far at the NFBC. It's unbelievable with the lockout, but our draft champions leagues, those are draft and hold leagues. You draft 50 players. You set the starting lineup each week, but there's no free agents. And so people really love that one. Last year we had 4,545 teams. We're going to top that this year, certainly at this pace. And so that's going really, really well. These cut lines, we know they're going to pick up here pretty soon as well. This is a great, great one to jump into if you're new to the NFBC, or if you don't want free agency, this is a good format as well. We've got our main events, which will be in March. We'll be at the Bellagio in Las Vegas, March 24th. Through the 30th. We'll be at the Stewart Hotel in New York City, March 18th through the 20th. So check all of it out at playnfbc.com. That's playnfbc.com. And all of our ADPs are free at playnfbc.com/ADP. I mean, they're free. And it's fantastic to be able to give that to everybody. And, Matty, we used to hide the ADPs from everybody. We'd just give it to people who were in drafts. And because they were computing the ADP. So I was almost giving it to them as a service. And if you wanted to see them, you had to get in a league, right? But then at the Arizona Fall League, I just had somebody came up to me and said, why don't you just make them for everybody? I said, why not? It's just going to be good PR for us. And so I think it has worked out good for everybody. So check it out, playnfbc.com/ADP. All right, here we go. What did you say wow about there? Did you see a pic?
Not having the ADP used to not be publicly available to everybody on, just to go and find it. It's honestly more useful itself. It's a tool. It shouldn't be used as gospel or anything like that, but it is the best marker in fantasy baseball to kind of get the gauge on the.
Just to let Matt Anderson know, Rex Grossman did not win any Super Bowls, asshole. So there you go. Rogers is 1 for 1. He's got a ring. That's the best a Bears fan can do. I'm talking to a Vikings fan here. That's the best a Bears fan can do. I'll put that one back up there again.
That was pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, started the same amount. Who's got titles, huh? Who's got titles? Gee whiz.
Derek, I know you've been bummed about my Corey Seager pick as not being very sexy, so I'll give you. And I don't usually draft a lot of young guys. I like that one. So
there you go. That would be qualified as sexy for sure.
That's cutline material, baby.
Yes, it is. Very nicely done. Nicely done.
All right. Well, we like your build here. You went offense very early. Got a lot of yellow after that, and it's looking good. That's for sure. So. Any final thoughts here, Matty, that you can, if anybody's sitting on the sidelines or FTN, they're seeing what you're doing, what can you recommend as far as joining the NFBC and trying this out?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, if you're not playing these cut lines, I highly recommend it. And if you're unfamiliar with how the format is, or if you need to get a grasp on it, I wrote a massive primer that's available at FTN Fantasy. So if you go over there and subscribe to that, you'll end up getting the projected fantasy points for the NFBC cut line as well. And those two things alone should get you up and running. And like Greg mentioned, the ADP itself is also available for free publicly online at playnfbc.com/ADP. And you can compare the two and just get a grasp of how much fun it is to be in these 10-team leagues. You're only investing $175 in the league, and you have a chance of winning $75,000. And the rush is real, and it's a lot of fun if you get into those cut lines. Ask anybody that's made it to a cut. And as the cuts go on, the sweat gets bigger and bigger, and it's a blast. So yeah, you can follow me. Thank you guys so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter at @MattyWood_, and you can find all of my work at ftnfantasy.com, along with Vlad Sedler, Brock Miller, Matt Kupferle, Chris Meany, and others. So thank you guys, and I look forward to seeing the two of you in Las Vegas sooner than later.
Can't wait. It's -5 here right now, so I can't wait to get out there.
I mean, it's been a brutal January. I came in this morning, it was -4. I did the show here at the office last night, went home, it was -3. It's just been brutal. Take the dog out for a walk. He whizzes and runs right back in the house. It's just it's brutal. It's just brutal. I hate this time of year. I hate it. So, but no, thanks to FTNFantasy.com. This is going to be a lot of fun. And I think people enjoyed the show as we're getting some nice comments here. So thanks much. Derek, thanks for joining me as well. If you can join me next Thursday, we'll do it again with Vlad, and we'll have some fun with this. All right?
Yeah, we'll see you next week. It'll be great.
Absolutely. Awesome. We'll get up on registration tomorrow. Thanks a lot, Matty. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next Thursday. All right?
All right.
See ya.